Morning, friends. Let's chat while I make some breakfast. I'm making my eggadilla, and I want to talk about emotional bids and the denying of them and how that makes you feel. And by you, I mean me, because this happened last week, and I feel like I want to talk about it. So, let's crack some fucking eggs and get going. Well, I'm gonna try to talk while I do this, but I'm so bad at cracking eggs, I feel like it's gonna take a lot of focus. Emotional bids, right? If you're unfamiliar with the concept, think of oh, can you get this off the shelf for me? Like, it's not that you are not physically capable of getting something off the shelf. It's that, like, oh, you want this other person to do it for you because that's you, like, seeking connection, right? Like, that's an emotional bid. And this isn't just like in a romantic relationship, right? This is like this can be romantic or just like friends, right? It's seeking connection, And I made a few attempts at this last week. Full disclosure, maybe I was barking into the wrong tree with the people that I sought this with, which is forever my bad, and maybe I can get better at discerning that. But it feels bad when you make that bid for connection and it's just denied, or it falls flat, or they just, like, I don't know, don't grasp what you're looking for. Anyway, beating around the bush. Someone that I was like semi-close with died last week, and it was kind of a shock to hear about for me. And not only is, like, death in general, like, kind of a bitch to deal with, obviously, but also I feel like I specifically process death in a strange way, or like it's like slower for me to get through. So when it happens, I'm aware that that's how I am. So I try to, like, meet it head on. That's gonna fuck up my face. Anyway, so this person passes away, and then I hear about it, and I'm like, Spencer, let's think about how this makes us feel. That onion's gonna fuck me so hard. Hey, yo. Anyway, it was this really sweet old lady who I would see occasionally, but it was always really exciting to see her. She really liked seeing me. I liked seeing her. We always chatted, just caught up on life and stuff, And so that obviously sucks to get that text, and it's like, hey, she passed away, and I'm like, fuck, because I haven't seen her in a little bit, and then I'm thinking, like, oh, well, maybe I should have, like, seen her more, and then I'm like, oh, do I feel guilty about this? Probably. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff that I'm, like, trying to think through, So I reach out to, like, some friends or some people that I, like, think I might be able to field those thoughts with, and then it falls flat, and then I'm like, all right, my bad. I'll just go fuck myself, And I feel like particularly, I don't know if it's like maybe it's a dude thing. I try not to blame everything on the patriarchy, but it obviously has a bit of an influence, I don't know if it's a dude thing, and maybe people think that I don't want to, like, talk about it that much, or maybe there's reasons, again, benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's other reasons people think that maybe they think I don't want to talk about it. But, like, if I'm reaching out with something like that, just how I am, I definitely want to talk about it, And also, I'm very aware of, like, sharing my feelings, for example. Not that it's always easy, but I'm aware. You guys see the videos that I do. But it's harder for me to talk about stuff like that without prompt. Not because of any kind of, like, emotional thing where it's like, oh, it's hard to talk about my feelings. I just generally don't think people give a shit what I think or like, what I'm feeling, which that's a whole nother topic, I'll unpack that later with you guys. So when I make this kind of, like, outward, like, hey, I want to talk about this thing, that takes some, like, mustering, So then when it falls flat, it's especially debilitating, Here we go, gang. 3 eggadilla. We got 3 eggs, cheese, some spinach leaves, onions, and some hot sauce, and a sparkling water. All that's to say, let me clarify, I'm never mad at people if you make that bid and it falls short, right? Never angry about that. Who knows what's going on with them? Maybe they don't got the capacity to talk about that right now. It can be unfortunate, but let me end on a positive note, as I try to do when we talk about things like this, because our own mentality is often the only thing that we can control. And although that's unfortunate, I'm not going to let it discourage me from attempting to make those bids in the future, because those bids are important, as is that connection and that community that you can build when they don't fall flat. And in the meantime, I'll post a TikTok about it to help me process, and then I'll keep doing it on my own, like I normally do. That's kind of a joke. Kind of. You can see it bleeding through. You can see my thoughts coming through. Much love, guys. See you later.